Kia ora whānau, and welcome to a episode of Get a Job and Get Healthy with Costas Enterprises. I am your host, Alex Costas, and today is going to be sort of a mixed bag of an episode. It's going to be me sort of explaining where I've been, what I've been doing, what I've been going through, and apologising to you guys for not really being there over the last sort of month and a half, almost 2 months. Sorry. So again, as always, I am driving, so I apologise on the first thing. This is a morning episode, so I am on my way into work. All my socials, of course, at the Kiwi Don on my Instagram, on my Twitter. You can also find me through www.costasenterprises.business.blog. You can also contact me via my email, doncostas@gmail.com. That's D-O-N for Nike, C-O-S-T-A-S @gmail.com. So, what has been going on? I've had some pretty big changes in my life the last couple of months. The biggest change is, unfortunately, my mother has passed away, and I will try not to tear up too much in this episode. It happened on January 10th, and leading up to it, my mother wasn't at home. I said that to you guys before. And yeah, it's she started to deteriorate quite a bit early on, and it just sort of got to the point where she, I saw her on the Sunday, and I was with her most of the day on the Sunday, and that was the 8th, and she was, coughing a little bit sick. She's had a sort of a really, really bad cough for the last 4 or 5 years. And we are talking a really bad cough, to the point where people thought she had COVID all the time and she was sick. She didn't. She never actually had COVID in the whole time, which was funny. And so, yeah, I saw her on Sunday, and then apparently the doctors saw her on Sunday night and they put her on oxygen. Now, that's fine, but no one told me. So when I turned up on Monday night at 7 o'clock, because I had to go into the office on the Monday, being the first day back at work, I was like, what the fuck is going on? Why is she on oxygen? And, it was like I was trying to talk to her. One eye was looking one way, the other eye was looking the other way. She wasn't non-responsive, but she was pretty out of it. You could tell she couldn't really understand what was going on. She kind of nodded her head a little bit, grunted a little bit, spoke a tiny bit, but not much. So I kind of suspected the last time I saw her like this, I kind of knew she was not doing well. The reason we put her in the home is to make her comfortable, basically. I knew that it was going to be... I knew that I was lucky to get an extra 6 months with her. I'm going to put it that way. So 6 months ago, Mum got really, really sick back in June. 7 months now. And it got to the point where she'd got pneumonia quite bad, to the point where they'd basically called me at 2 o'clock in the morning. She didn't want me to know, and the hospital called me at 2 o'clock in the morning and said, hey, you need to come now. It's pretty bad. And so I got there, me and her, we'd had a fight earlier that night. I was, not happy. I was just, done. I couldn't handle it anymore. We had that sort of a relationship at times. Still much love for her, of course, but, she knew how to push my buttons, as most parents do. So, yeah, I went and, they were like, look, we don't know if she's going to last the night. And at that time I was like, okay, I have to prepare myself. I'd just been reading a book by, I actually reviewed it. There's a little phrase, it's sort of a Buddhism book. And the guy is really, really smart. He's quite funny as well. Ajahn Brahm is his name. And he talks about how, when someone is sick, like in a hospital and stuff like that, you don't want them to be in pain. You should give them permission to go if it seems like they are, at that point. And when I was there, this is 7 months ago, I sort of said in my head, I give you permission to go. I don't want you to be in pain anymore. But Mum stuck around. She's a fighter. She's been a fighter, she was a fighter for a lot of her life. And I was lucky because I got an extra 6 months with her, 7 months. I could tell at the end that she was getting worse and worse. Be it by the fact that her mobility had gotten worse, her cough had gotten worse. She was not starting to forget things. She didn't lose her mind at the end of it, which was good, because that was something she never wanted. But she could definitely, she told my partner in secret that she goes, I feel like I'm going. And that was a couple of weeks before it happened. So I kind of saw her that Monday and went, okay, I've got to prepare. I don't have a lot of money, you guys know. I'm trying to sort of bring money back into my life and all that sort of stuff. So I sort of spoken to Mum and said, look, do you want me to transfer some money over for a funeral just in case? And I transferred over about $8,000 with her permission before she passed. So the next day comes along on Tuesday, because of what was going on. I just texted my boss that night and said, hey, I'm not coming in tomorrow, it's pretty bad. And I spent the day with Mum, and it had gone from bad to worse. She was pretty much non-responsive the whole day. She couldn't talk, she couldn't open her eyes. She was gurgling mostly, and I could kind of tell if it wasn't going to be today, it was going to be the next day. So I spent the day with her. I put on her favourite music. I tried to be a loving son. I told her a lot. I took in some handbags that my father had made for her and described them to her, something that she'd been wanting to see for the last couple of days, and I decided to take them in, just try to bring her a little bit of joy. I didn't know at the time that she couldn't see and couldn't open her eyes, but it was one of those situations where I just wanted to show her that she was loved by my father, loved by me. I told her I loved her many a times. I also said openly to her, I give you permission to go. Don't be in pain anymore. You don't need to be in pain anymore. Go be with Dad. Don't worry about me. I've got my partner. And, I'm not a little boy anymore. I'm a man. I told her I was grateful for her. I told her that, despite the arguments and stuff that we'd had at times, she will always be my love, my family, my heart, and I will never, ever, forget that, let alone push that away. So I then said to Mum, look, I'm going to go pick up my partner. I kind of want her to say goodbye as well. Because, you know, my partner knew that things weren't going well. And, you know, I was pretty much a wreck. Still am a bit of a wreck, being completely open and honest. And I then went to... While I was driving to pick up my partner, I sort of said out into the universe, I said, you know, Mum, I'm thankful for you, I'm grateful for you. Thank you for the extra time you gave me. Be at peace. Be with Dad, be with the ones you love. And I went to pick up my partner, and she was like, look, you haven't eaten all day, you need to eat something, let's go get some dinner first. Then we can, you know, if you want to, we can spend the night. The staff were like, you need to spend the night. I was like, I'm not spending the night. I can't be there when she goes. I can't do that because mentally I can't cope. And I know that sort of sounds a little bit selfish. And you know what, if things change in 10 years, I might regret not have wanting to stay the night, but the way I was feeling, I was like, I can't. I'm not going to be able to manage daily life if that is the case. And so I chose not to, you know, not to stay overnight, but I didn't actually have to. So during this time, while I was going to get food, even though I did feel guilty for having to go get food, because I thought, no, I want to go there. I could tell she wasn't going to be around later. I knew I also needed to eat. I hadn't eaten since like fucking 10 a.m. and it was now about 6 p.m. So I was just a mess. And I then got a call while I was driving around the bays to go get some food, and yeah, they were like, look, are you coming back soon? And as soon as they said, you know, as soon as they called up, basically I knew. I was not stupid. I was well and truly aware that it had happened, and I just pulled to the side of the road with my partner and just cried for what felt like forever, but realistically was only a little while. During this time, I got a call from Mum's caregiver, who was like a sister to me and a daughter to Mum, and she was like, look, I managed to get some time off work, because she'd been working as a caregiver and they'd given her extra clients today. She wasn't going to be able to make it to say goodbye. She goes, I'm here. I said, sorry, she's just gone. She's literally gone 4 minutes ago. They just told me. So yeah, it was she was like, well, I'm going to stay here, I'll wait for you, I'll see you. And we all just cried together. We went and talked to Mum a little bit. I got to say my piece again. Kiss her on the forehead, kiss her on the head, grabbed her hand, all that sort of stuff. And then, you know, I hadn't even thought about anything like what I need to do next, like call the funeral person, or like all this sort of stuff I didn't even think of. But I did it the next day, and we moved the body. Very quickly I had to make the decision about whether or not Mum wanted a funeral. I know she didn't want a funeral, and that also meant about the viewing. Mum wanted to be cremated, so we got her cremated. At the end of the day, it was really lucky that I had the money that I transferred over, because it cost about $7,000 total. Now, you might be like, that cheap? Is that expensive? That is the bare bones. No service, no embalming, no nothing. But it also included, because I one of the things I wanted to do with Mum was, you know, we've got a place where we're going to scatter her ashes, but I also wanted to take some and scatter some in Australia, scatter some in Japan and Hawaii, because those were times that places she always wanted to go. But another thing about my mum is she loved her jewellery. So I decided to actually get a piece of mum's ashes put into some jewellery for me. There's not a lot of options for men, but that was about $500. So that's why it ended up reaching to about $7,000 total. And, if that wasn't enough, I was planning a dinner, I was planning all these other things. During this time, like literally 2 days later, literally 4 days later, I'm cleaning out mum's rest home, getting rid of everything, and then I get COVID. Haven't had COVID for 2 fucking years. Then I get COVID. And I got it pretty bad. Not to the point where I was going to hospital, but I was having some breathing difficulty. I was fatigued. I was just, shattered. And I can't for the life of me figure out where I got it from. I know it's reasonably rampant in Wellington at the moment, but I couldn't think, was it here? Was it there? Did I don't know. And so it got me wondering where I was. Part of me was thinking, was this mum giving me an out to take a break for this sort of stuff? I don't know. But I do know that I took the time to grieve, as well as the time to sort of deal with everything as well. It was a very hard time for me. It was a very hard processes. I did all the things I'd done before, where I try to, push on and ignore things and just go through and do what I can, which I managed to do for the most part, but it wasn't exactly the easiest thing to do. I have since picked up her ashes. That was the hardest thing, was not being able to go, right, I've got to pick up her ashes, I've got to pick up her and the necklace, and having to do that in a situation where you can't really do it because you've got COVID. So I did what I can, and sorry about the screeching. I'm in a parking building at the moment. I'm going to put the phone over here, so I apologise if my voice doesn't carry as well. I'm going to try and make it carry. But yeah, so it was very hard going. I'm not over it. I still, unlike when my dad passed, and I haven't told many people this, I cried 3 times. I cried the day he died, I cried the day of the funeral, and then I cried 6 weeks later because I felt guilty for not grieving. Because when I was younger, I was 18 when my dad passed, and I had to be the man of the house. I had to, learn how to cook, learn how to drive, do the shopping, deal with my mother, who had, depression, anxiety, and all that sort of stuff as well. And it was, I sort of pushed my grieving off and thought, I'll grieve when I can. And then I was trying to be a big man and not grieve and not talk about my feelings, and everything was okay, guys. Yeah, no, I'm fine. Which I now know that was part of the reason why I developed the way that I did. Where, yeah, I really shouldn't have. I should have taken the time to grieve. I should have dealt with my emotions, which I never did, as I said. So, yeah, it's one of those sorts of situations where, what do you do? Like, do you manage with what you can? Do you try to get out? And I will admit, this time I did a little bit differently. I actually did take time to grieve. I am still grieving, which is different, as I said, from being in the situation where I didn't really grieve properly. It has been better to have my partner here. I'm going to say that straight up. Like, she has been my rock through all of this. She has been truly amazing, to the point where she has helped me so much. Like, her actually telling me it's okay to cry, it's okay to grieve, has been one of those sorts of situations where it's I wasn't asking permission, but being given that permission was very similar to what Ajahn Brahm was talking about with the grieving, where it was like, you know what, take time to say it's okay to go. That's the sort of thing that you can do. So, yeah, I apologise for not contacting everyone sooner with this sort of stuff and letting everyone know. I will try to be a bit more open over the next couple of days, and possibly put out another episode next week. But if you don't hear from me for a couple of weeks, you'll know why. I want to thank every one of my friends that's been there for me. If you're listening to this and you're my mate, the contacting me, all that sort of stuff has been really, really helpful. I am one of these people that I don't usually, like, when this sort of thing happens, I usually break down a little bit. I don't talk to people. I shut down. And this is the first time where I sort of haven't done that. And I've been talking to people and I've been telling them, part of that is my partner. Part of that is my growth from the person that I used to be. Part of that is things like trying to adopt other things in there, like, as I was talking about before, about from the book, the Taoism, being okay with this sort of stuff, realizing that it is a natural part of life. I think the greatest thing that's happened out of this is the fact that, like, when people say, are you okay? Are you okay? I actually am okay. I think by me giving Mum permission to go and saying thankful and being grateful for her at the end really did help. Like, I know I haven't got my closure because we didn't have a funeral. I'm going to try to organise a dinner or something like that tonight. Sorry, not for tonight, obviously, for the weekend, hopefully, or maybe the weekend after. And that will be a time for me to sort of say goodbye effectively, going to one of her favourite restaurants, with friends and families that if they want to say something, they can. Having her with me around my chest is also really, really cool. I did that because I want her to see what I want to do. I want her to see through me, and then she can tell Dad. Even though I know when they're in heaven they can see everything, but I want her to be able to go, that's my son. Look where he is now. Look where he's travelling now. Look at how far he's come from the man that he was, from the boy that he was to the man that he is. It's all those sorts of things. And it's funny, I never would have thought of getting a piece of jewellery made out of someone's remains. But honestly, I am really happy I did. Really happy I did. So I think that's about where we'll wrap it up. Thank you for listening. I will go through more about what I'm going to do in the coming future, but I just wanted to give you guys a heads up of what had happened. I'm not yet ready to talk about mine and Mum's relationship completely. I will in the future, don't worry. I still want to honour her memory at the moment and honour her the way that I need to, which is still happening and will still happen for a while. But I will start opening up a bit more about things, letting you guys know in the future. I will hopefully get back to having an episode every week or every 2 weeks at this stage. Thank you to all my loyal listeners. I can't believe how fantastic you guys are. And as always, I love you guys. I really do. And good luck.